Happy Gojira Day and welcome to Gojira Cast. Or AmityCast, I forgot. Matthew.
Gamera. But it's Goji Day, no cap. You remember that one clip from that one YouTube channel where like they talk about like Godzilla's like sex organs? He's like, no dick, no balls. Probably.
Yeah, they're like, Godzilla would be an asexual creature, so it doesn't matter.
I was like, okay, why'd you make the video? But
It's like, well, they also talked about Kong, so.
yeah, and then they don't even say the size because they're like, we'll let you do the math. And I was like, that's not what I clicked.
yeah, I definitely clicked on this video so that I could do math. Thanks.
Yeah, but he's 67.
Yeah, Godzilla, the original film, 67 years ago today.
To this day.
November 3rd. It's kind of crazy. We're both really big fans of Godzilla. We're really big kaiju fans. We talked about Godzilla vs. Kong in the past. My personal favorite kaiju is Gamera. I much prefer the Gamera franchise just because of nostalgia and like kaiju design. But like Godzilla is clearly the more influential kaiju, much popular probably. And today is the day to celebrate that, of course. So we figured we'd discuss it just a tad. Am I right?
Yeah, we also had absolutely nothing to discuss.
Yeah, we didn't have anything to talk about, and like we only have something to talk about next week if we watch Eternals. And I don't really want to watch Eternals, but like when I have to, just for content.
Yeah, I mean, like, just very briefly on that. I'm not like excited whatsoever. I mean, like, it could be good. I don't know. It's gone like really like.
2.5 hours of a movie I don't want to see.
It's got very mid reviews.
It's like F9 again, but Marvel.
I think it'll be better than that, but we'll see.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about like hype wise.
It's really bumming me out because like they never like re-release like Gojira in theaters in America, and like it'd been really cool to like see it like in theaters like on anniversaries, but because I think they do that in Japan.
Yeah, do because it's one of the most important Japanese films ever, and I think we could probably just talk in depth about the original. But not only that, there's 36 films in the franchise. 36.
A few TV shows. I haven't finished the newest one because it's honestly very, very boring. But
yeah, Singular Point is just so science based, and like that is cool. Like that's cool stuff, but like that's not really what you're looking for in a Godzilla anime.
well, it would be one thing if it was like digestible and like explainable, but they're talking like about math that like literally doesn't exist and like exists in like a parallel reality, and like they talk about it for 5 minutes. Like I know anything what they're saying.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah,
like 12 episodes.
There's like 12 or 13 episodes, and like I'm halfway through, and like Godzilla's like barely showed up, and I was like, there's still like half of the show left, and like there's no
Yeah,
Kumonga.
it's really weird stuff because they brought up all these different forms of the Godzilla to like go like basically different types of evolution, kind of like 4 different stages of evolution. But like they don't get like enough exposure to like really be cool. It's really weird.
I mean, it's really cool because like each like design is like a reference to like a different kaiju, but like that's like 5 minutes screen time each like form.
Right.
But yeah.
But yeah, there are 36 films in the Godzilla franchise, starting with Gojira, of course, at 54. The most recent was Godzilla vs. Kong this year. It's really expansive. It's a lot of history, really important in Japanese history.
Do you
I think most, like, what?
do you remember the first one you ever saw?
The first one that I saw was Godzilla vs. Gigan.
I don't remember which mine was. I know it was like a newer-ish one. I think it might have been like.
Yeah, the first one I saw in the theater obviously was 2014.
Yeah, that was like the happiest moment of my life. That movie. When I was like around that age, I absolutely loved it a lot.
Yeah, I was very excited for that film.
And like the fact that it was actually, like I know like over time it's not as like well regarded, but I honestly think it's pretty solid like movie, for the most part. I like how it's pretty realistic and like the scale was like amazing. And I wasn't really like upset about like the Godzilla screen time, which was like a big thing about that movie that people hated. But like, if you really watch any of these movies, Godzilla's only in it for like 10 minutes, so it's like I kind of knew what I was going into, so I don't know. I didn't expect an hour and a half straight of Godzilla just chilling.
Yeah, it was cool to see like a lot more of actual like build up and more of like actual like
It was really good tension.
trying to establish the emotional connections and all that, and like how like Godzilla affects things instead of just Godzilla physically affecting things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was cool. The tension was amazing in that movie. And like the scale.
Yeah, that's the biggest.
And like at the time, it was the biggest Godzilla too, and I loved the design. And then of course, like it spanned into its own little universe, which I loved seeing each film in the theaters and like kind of going along with the story. And I'm gonna be really bummed out if it doesn't continue at all. I mean, it would kind of suck if we don't get like anything else. Because yeah, but I mean, I guess if it does end, I mean, Godzilla vs. Kong was a pretty good note to leave it on. But I definitely want more of that story. Because like we haven't really got anything out of Toho for a while. I mean, there was Shin Godzilla, which was like a very much a one-off, which I also loved. Seeing that in theaters was also an incredible experience. That movie also didn't use Godzilla a lot. That one was a lot more about the message and the themes, which is what the original was about. Because even in the original, Godzilla wasn't in it that much. And then they just kind of kill him off at the end, and then they made like a very rushed sequel that had a lot more action, and guess what? It was terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, Shin Godzilla is beautiful. I really enjoy that film.
I haven't watched it in years.
Really well.
I haven't watched it in years, but yeah.
Yeah, I never got to see it in the theater because it was only in select theaters in America for only like a couple weeks or like something like that.
Yeah, you're gonna hate me. I saw it twice.
Yeah, I know that you saw it twice.
Oh, you did? I thought I only said I saw it once.
What?
I thought I only told you I saw it once. But yeah, I saw it twice, yeah. It was...
Well, I know you saw it twice. I know at least one of them you saw with Sean. I remember that.
Yeah, I saw it with Sean, and I saw it with, like, my family. And surprisingly, both times, the theater was packed. Like, it was packed.
It, like with the right marketing, that was, like, extremely hype. And I think it was a really good movie, just, like, tying in back to, like, very similar to how the original was and how it was handled, like as a film, and like the metaphors being used. It was like a really extreme, like brutal, disturbing movie. I really enjoyed it though. I still think that it was really solid.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good stuff. I was really satisfied with Shin Godzilla.
I've been pretty satisfied with a lot of the newer content we're getting, because it's not like it's been like in too much where it's like, you know, like the Showa series where like it was really running out of steam by the end of it. It's felt a lot more like each film like has had like focus and like years put into it, because like even looking at like 2014, we didn't get a sequel to that movie until like 5 years later.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy actually. I was like thinking about that gap like recently, and like how that 5-year like span is a pretty decent amount of time.
Yeah, like I went through I went through middle school and like high school. I was like at the end of sophomore or junior year, and then I got to see it, and I was like, it's been like 5 years, and like a lot's happened, and
Yeah.
and then like
I am a complete person that I was.
and then they delayed Godzilla vs. Kong for like production reasons and like reshoots, and then like when they were finally going to release it, COVID happened, so they delayed it another year, and like that wait was like very annoying, but I'd say it's worthwhile.
Yeah, I'd have to say so. I remember Kong Skull Island when I went and saw that. I enjoyed the film. I was still like kind of younger.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. And I just remember like at the end of the film they had the Godzilla roar, and like I was with my father. We both just got like really excited because
I was with my dad too. Because because I told him, oh, we have to stay. I heard there's something like after the credits, and it's like really like big, and like it was a really good after credit scene, and it really led into things well. And that's like really good because like each film like leads into its own in that little universe, and each like end credit scene like very directly goes into the next one, because like at the end of King of the Monsters, like it shows like it like teases Skull Island and stuff, and then like shows Ghidorah's head, and it's like it's very direct, and it works very well. Which is why I want to see it continue. I'd love to see them incorporate other older kaiju that we haven't seen in like forever. Because apparently, I think in like the extended footage, they had like references to like Gigan and stuff, and like that would be like really cool to see.
That would be so hyped. Gigan's my second favorite kaiju ever, too.
Gigan's really cool. Only the final was designed though to some people.
Yeah.
I love his Showa design too. I kind of like his Showa design more because it's like, I don't know, I just like the coloring pops off to me more, and it's more iconic.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I just think both like known iterations of Gigan are just fantastic because I just think it's such a cool monster design. It really feels like a big kaiju. It feels like a giant monster that would like come from space, and it like feels like what you would really see in like a true sci-fi movie. It's awesome. I just think it's super like a weird like robot chicken thing. Like it's kind of hard to describe. I didn't mean to make an Adult Swim reference, but I just think it's really cool.
I mean, it was definitely designed as this. That monster was made like during the time when like Toho was definitely on like cocaine or some shit, because they were making very weird movies.
Yeah, it's really weird because like we can go down a whole rabbit hole with it, but the original Gojira was a very serious.
It wasn't like it wasn't like a franchise movie. It was just like a story, and it very clearly ended.
It was a good story, and it was really important for like how like the country, like the culture, and how they were at the time, and like it was a really good representation of that.
Like I wrote like a whole like 6 or 7 page essay just on the themes of the film. There's a lot. It's very dense. A lot to unpack.
It's extremely deep. I ranked it. I believe it was 21 on my list of the 25 greatest horror films ever made because it's just that important, especially to Japanese culture. But then you look at the rest of the franchise, and a large number of the movies are just Godzilla fighting new, like, crazy monsters that are just the same size, and it gets crazier and crazier and weirder. You get, like, Gigan, and then you get stuff like
Hedorah. Yeah, Hedorah. I love Hedorah, though.
I really wish we could have gotten Hitoda.
Yeah, Hitoda would have been cool. There's a lot of canceled movies, too. We could have a whole episode just talk about, like, canceled stuff, because, like, there's so much crazy shit that just didn't get made. And like there's literally like a Godzilla versus Ghost Godzilla that like almost got made, and like I really wish it did, because I just want to see how that fight would have gone. Like
I would have loved to see that actually would have been an execution, because like just what.
Yeah, I mean there's so many crazy because like there's literally like there's a film in this franchise for literally anybody, and if you want like a dark serious movie that actually has something to say, there's you know, the original, obviously. I guess The Return of Godzilla, that's one. I'm not a big fan of that one. It's like a lot of fans' favorites. I think it's good. It's just it's not something I go back to a lot. And then of course there's like the newer ones made by Legendary, which are a bit more serious. But then Shin Godzilla, obviously. But then there's just monster movies as well. Some of the later Showa films and stuff like that. And if you want like one that's actually like a multi-film narrative, there's of course the newer ones, and the whole Heisei era is like 7 films straight of like a continuous arc, which is very entertaining to watch.
The Heisei era is up there with like the most popular amongst the fandom, and like reasonably so, because like it's a good like strip of like really solid kaiju movies, and some of them are just genuinely pretty good just as movies, and like it's just.
Yeah, the Heisei era kaiju really hit, because there was some of the greatest Godzilla movies are in there. Like I love Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah because it's like a weird time travel narrative, and it's very interesting. And then there's films like Godzilla vs. Destroyer, which is an amazing film. It's one of the best of the series, like hands down. And I would absolutely
easily top 5.
I would absolutely like lose my shit if Destroyer was ever in like the MonsterVerse or just brought back in any way. It would be amazing.
Destroyer has always been in my mind a perfect antagonist kaiju, especially to Godzilla. It's fabulous, really. Like just a great design, great lore behind it, good demeanor, just all of it, just fantastic.
Yeah, and then there's even, you know, there's some wacky films in that set of films, like Space Godzilla, which I love Space Godzilla, but it's very weird. and then Biolante, which is another really good film. But that monster was also very weird. There's so many good stories in that set of films that all like connect really well. And Destroya easily has the most like impactful ending. I feel probably out of the whole series. And
outside of maybe just like how like the original is like portrayed and like how it is like within its own thing, but like as far as like within the whole like franchise and in the overall like arc, the ending of Destroya is just it's wild. It really is.
Like you literally like you have scenes where you see Godzilla mourn the death of his son, and like you genuinely feel emotion for Godzilla, which is always the hardest part of these films when Godzilla's the good guy, because it's harder to portray emotion with him than say King Kong or even Gamera to an extent, which was a copycat of Godzilla but eventually became his own thing and had one of the best trilogies like ever.
Was done so well, yeah.
And when they really find a way in some of these films to like connect with him as a character, it's very well done. Even in the newer like Monsters movies, they have I think they successfully made you connect with him. And yeah, it's people really like just take these as monster movies, and like it's generally really hard to make like a really good Godzilla movie because you really do need those human elements and to get people attached to these monsters in a way that actually like is engaging and not just like I don't know, Destroy All Monsters, which I never really liked that movie, which is literally just monsters thrown on screen just to fight King Ghidorah at the end, which was so unfair because it was like 8 versus 1, and it's like holy shit, he just gets destroyed for 5 minutes.
Destroy All Monsters is such a stupid movie because it doesn't feel like much really happens throughout most of the runtime, and at the end King Ghidorah is just 10 kaiju on one, and then eventually it's so unfair. Godzilla like lets his son like get a shot in, and then like Minea is like the one who kills him. It's like, oh, good job. It's like what is even happening? And then Gorosaurus is like a drop kick. Like what's happening? Right?
Yeah, it's so weird. And yeah, one of my favorites from that Showa series was King Kong versus Godzilla, which is like it's such a weird movie to watch nowadays, but it's so much fun. It's also like the only like Godzilla film where Godzilla's like actually like green, and a lot of people like say he's green, but like in like 35 out of like the 36 times he's like appeared, he's never been green.
He's never green. He's always a dark gray, black type, like.
Yeah, but like in a lot of the posters he's green, and it's weird, but
it doesn't make any sense because Godzilla is just not green.
Yeah. And then there's so much, and then we haven't even talked about the Millennium Films, which those were like some of the newer films I watched growing up that like I watched more often because they were like more new. GMK is another really good one that's like serious and like dark and like disturbing a little bit. I love that one. I really like Godzilla 2000 because like I remember that one like distinctly as a child. It's not like as good as like I remember it, but like it was a lot of fun. And I love Orga. Orga was a very fun villain.
Yeah, Orga was great.
Megaguirus is pretty bad. And then the 2 Mechagodzilla movies in that series were pretty good. They were like the only 2 films in that series that were like connected because they did like a very much Halloween approach in like every single film. They're like, okay, forget everything you've seen, just remember the first one. But like then they made another movie the same next year and like, okay, forget everything again. This is a sequel to the first one, and we're gonna use the same Godzilla design as the last one, but this isn't connected at all. And it's like, what the fuck? Because for the longest time I thought 2000 and Mechaguirus were like in the same universe because like they literally use like the same costume, but like they're not, and it's like so weird. And then Final Wars, I love that one because I also remember that one a lot because that one I think I watched the most because that one's like Destroy All Monsters if it was made like actually like correctly, and it's so like stupid, but it's like so much fun, and like every time I watch it I just like enjoy myself even though I know it's like bad. But yeah,
I mean Final Wars, obviously it's not like a great movie, Godzilla Final Wars, but like it's one of the more popular ones for a good reason because it's just so fun. It's just sending as many kaiju as possible against Godzilla, just having an all-out like crazy battle,
and even the human side is it's so engaging, it's so funny.
Yeah, it's just a crazy, wacky, just batshit kaiju movie, and it's awesome. That's why I love it. It doesn't have to be just a miraculous film. That's what a lot of people like when they talk to me about movies. It's just like I'm not going into every movie wanting it to just be like a fabulous piece of cinematic art. Like sometimes I just want, something like Final Wars. It's just fun and it's awesome. And
I remember people really hated King of the Monsters because they didn't think it was like a really good movie, and I was like, yeah. I think the movie gets dogged on a lot, and I don't think it's like terrible, like as like an actual film, but like it's very clearly just a love letter to the series, and like it's the epitome of what like a Showa Godzilla film would be nowadays, and I think it does that very well, and it has a lot of great stuff in it that I can never say it's like a bad movie, but it has like a 40% on like Rotten Tomatoes or something, which is like pretty low, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I can't check the Metascore because pretty much no Godzilla movies have a Metascore except for the original, I think, and like the legendary ones. But
there's so much good stuff.
It's
not to even mention the amazing score in that original film. That's just like even being rescored nowadays for like how iconic it is. Like the Godzilla theme is amazing. Every single track is like amazing.
Yes, it's fantastic.
The recent rescores in like King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong have been amazing. I love the score. And yeah, it's very iconic, and just even hearing it, you know what it is, and it fits the character so well, no matter the iteration. But yeah.
Yeah, it's always worked well. In the original film, it was a lot more like a somber, like it was
that
more
movie
serious,
is so
and it was really,
so
like
depressing.
The monster that was Jira.
Yeah, that movie's so depressing. There's only a scene where like Godzilla's rampaging through I think Tokyo. And like you see like a mother and her two kids, and she just like is like holding them while they're like crying, and she's like, "It's okay, we'll be with dad soon." And it's like, holy fuck, that was just in a movie. And then there's like one scene where you see like a child like crying over a dead parent because like she died of like radiation poisoning or something, and it's like it's so clear the messaging, but like it's so fucking depressing and like dark, and like it's very well done. I really don't have any problems with the original film. I mean, like, of course, it's like a bit dated because like it came out in the 50s, but like even now, I feel like you can generally get a lot of enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, it's still very enjoyable, and when you look at it through the lens of like how it was supposed to be, like what like the purpose for making it and how it was supposed to be viewed, it's so important and influential. Just because of like how big of a deal, like with like the atomic bombings in Japan and like all of those issues with nuclear weapons, the impact that it truly left on an entire country, and like it's really brought to a head in that movie, and it's Gojira himself just used so well as a metaphor for that, and just so many different statements you could make about warfare and everything. It's devastating, it's brutal, and it's beautiful. It's so well made. It is just it's such an incredible film. It's so worth it on so many levels.
Not even to mention probably one of the best human characters was Serizawa. And him and his oxygen destroyer was very clear messaging about nuclear weapons, the atom bomb, and like the morality of it, and the fact in the end that you had to use that to destroy Godzilla, which was made by similar technology, was a very direct message, and it was really well done, and it really left an impact because that's how the film ended. It didn't really end a happy way. I mean, they killed Godzilla, but they directly say at the end that as long as mankind continues to go down the path that it's going, there's always going to be another Godzilla. There's always going to be like more warfare, more disaster, and it was a very big message to leave on audiences, and it's really it like transcended the genre, and it's still like a very impactful message even nowadays. It's still something we even struggle with nowadays, and you can just make a new Godzilla movie with the same exact themes of that original film, and it would fit maybe even more so nowadays than back then. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible, and even doing all of that, weaving it in with different character arcs that they brought up, and just establishing its own narrative, with all those messages and themes, trying to be balanced. It's incredible.
And they've had multiple different themes throughout many of the films. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. There was a lot about like technology, and like, you know, I remember Biolante had a lot about like, you know, meddling with like genetics and stuff like that. And Hedorah was about like environmental pollution, which that one wasn't like amazingly executed, but like it was dark as shit, and it really got its message across with Hedorah very well, in a very weird acid trip sort of way that movie is. And there's a lot of different messages throughout these films, but the best one is always the original and how they execute it. And in some of the films they kind of like continue that narrative, like in Destroya or in the 84 film. But yeah, the 54 film is always going to be the best messaging in that storyline.
Yes, absolutely.
And
I mean, yeah, it's just those themes. They're perpetually throughout all of the Godzilla films, at least in some way. But a lot of them do kind of just become like crazy slapstick kaiju movies. It's always fun though. I mean, I enjoy all of the Godzilla movies, even like the really bad ones, like All Monsters Attack, and like the anime trilogy isn't very good.
Anime trilogy sucks.
You know,
I don't hate the anime trilogy as much as like some people do, but that trilogy was not handled well at all.
No, it was so poorly executed.
I mean, they really could accomplish a lot with the Godzilla anime. It really, like, when they like announced it, I was like, yeah, it's kind of weird they never have done a Godzilla anime. And like, you know, it's Japan where it's like animes are a thing. And they like really do a lot of the Godzilla anime, but like the 2 times they've done it, they're always missing something. And it's really weird because like you don't have to worry about like CGI or like pseudonimation. It's just animation, which is like a lot cheaper and a lot easier, and you can do a lot more creative stuff. But like they like restrict themselves, and it's weird. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird stuff. That anime trilogy just.
That one had like a few. That one had a few good themes. I didn't hate like everything about it. I liked the Godzilla design. I liked like that interpretation of that character. It was cool. Having to be like this like 1,000-foot like monster that's been around for like millennium. That's like basically taken over the planet was like very cool. But then like they don't really do much with him, and he's like very slow, and like he doesn't really do much in any fights. So.
Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know. I don't really understand why.
And then the Singular Point, from what I've seen, I mean, like, it was cool to like see these like new kaiju, but then like it's just like they're not really like the forefront, and it's weird because like it's a Godzilla anime, and it doesn't feel like a Godzilla like storyline. But because I remember before that came out, me and you were very hyped about like all the redesigns of like Showa kaiju and like the ones they were bringing back, but then like they just don't really do much with them, and it's kind of weird. And I know Toho is talking about like having their own kaiju universe again, since the Monsterverse did well, which I mean I would be excited in, but I'm already kind of invested in the one going on right now, so I don't really need another one right now. I'd much rather than make films like Shin Godzilla, if anything, make more one-off type films that are like experimental, and let Legendary keep like the more traditional storyline based Godzilla stories going, because with the 3 films they had with Godzilla, they definitely have established that they can do that well. And even in a weird way, they almost give Godzilla a character arc in those films similar to Gamera in his own trilogy, which is like a weird thing when you notice it, but it's definitely very they've definitely established it well, and they definitely America has definitely shown that they can make a good Godzilla movie after that one in the 90s, which we haven't talked about yet, but that movie's terrible.
It's awful.
Atrocious.
It's abysmal.
Even when as a kid when I would watch it, it would be like the one Godzilla movie where it's like, I mean, I guess I have to watch it because it's a Godzilla movie and I own it, but
Right. No, you got 1998's Godzilla is detrimental to just monster movies in general. I think it's terrible. Like, it's a complete waste of space. And
Even
time.
from the beginning of the film, it's just you got a director that didn't like the source material. They keep doing that, and it's weird. Like, they remake Halloween, and they're like, okay, this guy hates Halloween. He hates John Carpenter's style. He hates everything about the original film. Okay, let's let him remake it. Not only let him remake it, but give him a sequel to it. And then, like, they're like, oh, you hate kaiju films? You hate Godzilla? You hate the themes of Godzilla? Okay, remake Godzilla for us. For the first time, America is getting a Godzilla movie, and we're going to get somebody that hates Godzilla to make the film. And it's just...
Yeah.
Why?
Just make... But it's not really Godzilla. It's actually a different
Zilla.
thing.
Like, Toho got so upset, they took back the rights, and they rebranded the whole character. And I don't... As, like, Zilla, like, his own kaiju, I don't think he's bad. I mean, he's not, like, amazing, but, he's, like, at least, like,
fine,
he's kind of a unique design. He's kind of a unique design.
Yeah.
He kind of, like, he's different than other kaiju, but he's not... In the film, he is Godzilla. Like, that, like, never take that away, that was Godzilla in that movie. And it was terrible. I mean, he didn't shoot atomic breath. He didn't...
Godzilla is one of the worst ones because it doesn't even have the atomic breath or like.
He dies from the military. He dies from the military. He's an iguana. It's like, what? Also, Matthew Broderick is your main character, and he's a bumbling idiot for the whole film.
So stupid, and like the whole point of his character is that like he has a last name that's like kind of hard to say. So
it's like, oh my god, shut up. And like the dad from Transformers is like the military general, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, I can't take anything serious. Roger and Ebert are in this film for like 10 minutes, and it's like really weird because it's like the worst possible film they could have chose to be in like the late 90s, but they chose that, and it's like, and it's like, what the fuck was this movie? And like every character's terrible, the writing's atrocious. They kill Godzilla at the end just like with missiles. They have like that whole like Jurassic Park ripoff segment where it's just a bunch of baby Zillas like in a little mall or whatever. And it's like, I guess there's some tension scenes, but like it's terrible. The CGI is awful. The characters are terrible. I want everybody to die. I hate it. And this was like the first Godzilla movie after Destroyer, which was like a series high. And like after that, it was considered like the end of the series. And like Toho was like, okay, we're never making another Godzilla movie again. They say that a lot, by the way. Like after like 5 or like 10 films, like, okay, we're done. And like a few years later, like, but actually, here's like 5 more. And then this film was so bad, they like retroactively were like, okay, that ending that was really well done and like perfectly executed, we're going to have to make like 6 more movies just to like improve how people view this character, because this is just so terrible. And that's really speaks to how bad this movie was. They didn't even get a sequel. They were supposed to make a trilogy. They did have an animated series, which I have watched, and it isn't... I prefer the animated series because it's much better than the movie. It's still not great or anything, but like at least like fixes some things, and it's like at least a bit engaging. What?
I haven't seen it. I never really had much of an interest to, so...
I randomly decided to watch it because I heard it was actually good, and like there's some good stuff in it. He actually shoots atomic breath, and like it's green atomic breath, so it's kind of cool. But like, it still doesn't like fix anything, and it's not like a universe I'm ever interested in seeing expanded. It's such a bad movie, like every aspect. Like, I hate some of the other Godzilla movies. I mean, I can watch any of them just for nostalgia or some enjoyment, but this one is just, if I sit through it, like I can laugh at it, but it's painful. It's a painful movie to watch. And there's not many other movies in this franchise that are painful to watch besides maybe All Monsters Attack and like Godzilla Raids Again, which I hate that movie too. I feel like
Godzilla Raids Again sucks.
And like Megalon's terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
there's some,
a lot of them like
even
they're silly movies.
Yeah, they're fun at least. This one's just like, it takes itself seriously, but it tries to be funny too. When it's just like, a quick tangent. Who honestly thinks Independence Day is a good movie? Like at all? It's not. It's terrible.
Who thinks that what?
Independence Day, it is a good movie. Independence Day is not a good movie. I don't know why it has such a devoted fan base. and like gave the director such a good career, because it's not good. It's a fun blockbuster, sure, but like everything,
But it's not
everything about it is
it never
terrible.
has been.
If you didn't have Jeff Goldblum and like Will Smith and like Bill Pullman as like the main characters, and like you had anybody else, that movie would have been like not well received at all. It literally was the actors that I think saved that movie, and it's just terrible. I hate so much about that movie and how like well remembered it is as like this like iconic '90s movie. It's
It's really popular, and like I've
it's
never
not
really understood why.
like the White House scene is cool. Some of the effects are good. I guess the alien design is kind of unique, but it's really generic too. And it's just it's like the epitome of like these dumb alien invasion movies where the aliens just want to kill humans, and it's just there's nothing like interesting or thought provoking or unique about it. It's just alien take over planet for some reason, and you give this guy a Godzilla movie, which is like sure there's a lot of silly Godzilla movies, but in the end the serious ones are always the best, and he just goes in it with this mindset that like Godzilla is such a silly character that he needs to fix, and he makes it 10 times worse. And there's nothing good about it. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I mean, I guess the first scene where like he's like attacking that fisherman and like you see like the spikes in the background come up. I mean, that was a cool image. But then like you see the design and you're like, oh, what is this? This iguana T-Rex looking motherfucker is Godzilla. Yeah, it's just there's so much variety. And there's so much bad as well. And there's even some boring Godzilla movies, which those ones aren't really fun to watch. What comes to mind is like the two Heisei movies, which are like probably like they take the most to get through, is like Godzilla versus Mothra, which without Batra, that movie is just like so bland. And then Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2, which is like fine, but it's also just it's such like a meandering plot, and it just kind of like goes nowhere for like 100 minutes. But and Megaguirus is another one, but 99 Days is just terrible. I hate everything about it.
Yeah, I mean the Godzilla franchise is very varied. There's so much to love about it. There's a lot to hate too. But if you can get connected to it, there's just so much content and there's so much like greatness. I mean, we haven't really talked about any of like many of the other kaiju. Like we talked about Gigan a little bit and like all that, but like there's just such a diverse lineup of different characters, just these giant monsters, and it's always just a way to just have fun, kick back and have fun with some crazy Japanese movies. There are a lot of issues, and I don't think that outside of maybe maybe 4 or 5 of them are actually genuinely good movies. Like obviously the original is one of the best movies that I've seen. I think it's incredible. It's really good is what I'm trying to say. And like Shin Godzilla I think is very good, and a few others. It's really limited as far as actual cinema quality, but it's just fun, and it's
a genre. It made a genre, and
yeah, completely established it that like a lot of fans can love and can be connected over. So
and each generation kind of got like its own like Godzilla era, with like so many different films to watch. And if you show a kid like a Godzilla movie, there's like 30 other films that they can watch and also enjoy. And
right, it would be a massive marathon.
It's such a versatile character that has like lasted for over 60 years, and everybody knows who Godzilla is. He's one of the big 3 kaiju that I would say. I guess the only other one that might be more influential is maybe King Kong. I think King Kong and Godzilla are about both equally influential. It's just Godzilla first came from Japan, and like since we're in America, King Kong is like always comes up first. But if you live in Japan, Godzilla's gonna come first before King Kong, like any day. And yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, King Kong is a huge deal. I mean, even King Kong was like a partial inspiration, like just as a movie for Godzilla, like at least in like the giant monster concept. like Godzilla as like the kaiju is the most influential in my mind, especially just with completely shaping and forming a genre like we were talking about. But yeah, King Kong is also very important. The 1933 King Kong is a fabulous movie. That is another just fantastic film. It's pretty much a masterpiece when it comes to just what it was, especially for the 30s. Like, wow.
Yeah, like I watched that like when I was like 13, maybe for the first time, like the whole way through, and even like then I could like enjoy it, and it was like, it was like just barely not a silent movie, and like it was still pretty enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a testament to how well made it was. I mean, yeah, it's dated because it's like
Over
almost
80
90
years
years
old.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't take away from just how like incredible it was for its time. Just a revolutionary movie. And that also applies to Gojira. Like from 1954, 67 years ago today, which is crazy to think that that's 67 years old. Because I remember talking about it as like a 50-year thing. Not talking about it as like a 50-year thing, but like it was like 50 years. Like it felt like a 50-year-old thing to me, and then now all of a sudden it's like 67. Like wait, like what?
Yeah, I remember when we were celebrating the 60th anniversary when like 2014 came out, and now it's been like 7 years, which I still remember like distinctly watching like 2014 in like theaters and like being hyped about it. And like the thing has been like 7 years of time. It's very crazy to think about. And even like remembering like when like you first saw the trailers for like Godzilla vs Kong, and like you see him like interact and like fight, and like the absolute hype around that. It's like it's almost been a year, and like it's so weird to think about. And like it really speaks to how versatile and how long lasting this character is, because like even like in COVID, Godzilla vs Kong was one of the first films to actually be released in theaters after COVID was settling down, and it was still a smash hit even in a pandemic. And I think that alone really speaks to how important this character is to cinema and always will be. It's weird to think about, but in both our lifetimes, we'll more than likely one day be celebrating its 100th anniversary, which will be crazy.
Yeah, that is actually wild.
Yeah, to think about that. I mean, there's even a good likelihood that at least one of us will be around when Halloween turns 100. And it's just...
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's weird to think about. I mean, King Kong's almost 100 as well. I mean, I think we'll be in our 20s by the time King Kong's 100.
Yeah, King Kong is only 12 years out from turning 100, so...
It's so weird to think about. And...
It's kind of crazy, just to think like how far film has come, and like still
and the fact
how
that
important does...
I'll still be watching like films like Halloween and the original Godzilla. I will still watch those on their 100th anniversary. I don't care. I love them to death.
Absolutely. I love these movies, and I think that it's deservingly so, because I think they were so well crafted for their time, and it was clear that there was so much care put into them, just like as a piece of film, and like what they were able, like what it is, like, yeah, it's a big, like it has a lot of like mainstream appeal. It's like, oh, it's a big monster, like that makes a cool movie, but like the actual technical achievements of it.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned
Kong,
the suitimation, which was the first time in the original Godzilla, because originally they were going to do stop motion like King Kong, but like it would take like 10 years to make, and the suitimation throughout like every single film, it's just they made that way of filmmaking. And like, it's a big stereotype where it's like a guy in a rubber suit smashes buildings, but like if you really watch a lot of these films that actually have good production put in it, it looks seamless. It looks really good. And of course now it's not really a thing anymore. I think like Final Wars is probably the last time we'll ever see suitimation again, which sucks. I mean, I would have loved if like Shin Godzilla was like the last suitimation one, but that would have been really hard with like the effects that they needed in that movie. But and not saying the visual effects and like CGI doesn't look good now. I mean, like in Godzilla vs Kong, Godzilla looks the most like emotive and like real he's like ever looked, and it was amazing to see that. And but the suitimation was such a big part of my childhood, and I loved seeing it. I loved actually like seeing stuff that looked like it was like there, and like these monster fights were like you know, like they might just look like two guys fighting in a suit, but like they're really well choreographed for that because like these dudes can barely see in these suits, and they're very well done.
Yeah, it takes a lot more work than just a guy putting on a suit. Then he like walks around and they film it. Like it's really cool to see, and it has a lot of magic to it. It's kind of like how it's sort of akin to like theater and like you like using the costumes and like your performance to elevate theater productions with that type of like real magic as a kind of way to put it. It's super cool just to like bring this monster to life and like what it truly represented, and all like metaphorically and just all the themes that can be brought up with it, and just being able to create that and film it in a way that like has passion, has care. It's so cool for me. It's another thing that really makes me just love film even more, and just all that goes into it, and what goes into the technical aspects of it. Like it's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very well done. And how they used that craft in the first film, it was very experimental, and because like if you like look into the making of that film, which is a whole, it's very interesting to look into it because it was the very first movie of its time, and you know when they were making this movie, they didn't know if it was going to do well, and they really put in their all anyway. And the guy that played Godzilla, it was a very hard shoot because they didn't know like the best ways to like utilize the suit like with the actor in it, and like he like passed out in the suit because he would like sweat so much, and there would be like pools of sweat in the costume, and he was just like it was like adding like 30 pounds of like weight to him. It was really hard to even move in it, and it's just in the end it still looks like a, for the time, and even still looks pretty well for the like nowadays, it looks like such like a flawless sequence of events once you actually watch the film. And even how they like make all these miniatures, like they put in like hours and like days of time making these miniatures just for this guy to destroy it, and that's kind of like funny. But yeah.
Yeah, it's great stuff. I mean, Suitimation is just, it's a crazy thing, and it's a really cool thing to look back at through all the Godzilla films, see how it grew over time and how they used it more and more. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, just, it's really weird, like the Godzilla franchise, how it's just like they have an era, like the Showa era, and it's just going on, and then they just go on hiatus for like 15 years, and they come back and they have a new era with these new films, and they just go on hiatus again for a while, so like, and we're kind of done with this, and they come back with more, and then it's like, and now there's 4 different eras, and Legendary is its own thing, which is like a 5th different thing. It's like it's really cool, I think, actually.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen next. The future is very up in the air at the moment because they don't know if the Legendary stuff's gonna continue. We haven't heard anything, and we don't know if Toho's doing anything. We haven't heard anything. It's weird. It's weird because
given that eventually, like, there will be more.
Yeah, I thought they might have announced something like around the anniversary, but there hasn't been anything yet. It'd be very weird for me if it'd be very weird for me if they decide to not let Legendary at least make a few more movies with Godzilla, because it's made money, and Toho is making money off of it without having to literally make anything. So I don't really see the downside in it, but we'll definitely see where it goes. I'll definitely always be interested.
I'll always be invested when there's new Godzilla movies, of course. And like I mean, it's such a tradition in Japan, and it's such a big deal. The entire franchise. I mean, especially
yeah.
For
I mean,
a while,
we have
when
even
there was like a new one.
Shin Godzilla was like it got Best Picture that year in Japan.
Right.
It won like an Oscar for there, and it got like a few awards. Actually, got like 3 or 4. That was like the first Godzilla movie that won Best Picture for the year. And yeah, it's weird to think that after like 80 years, not 80 years, but like 60 years, he finally actually got like an award. But he even has like a star on the Hollywood like Walk of Fame, Godzilla, and he's not even made in America. He's not even a real person, but like he's such like an icon of Hollywood, that he has one. And yeah, he's such an important part of cinema, and I think people really just kind of like will oversimplify it as just, you know, a movie monster. but there's so much effort and it's been around for so long, and so many different interpretations have been involved that it's not really just a giant monster movie. I mean, like, look, Godzilla literally inspired Gamera, and that became its own icon, which speaks a lot that even Godzilla's copycats become icons in their own right. With Gamera having pretty much unanimously considered one of the best set of kaiju films ever made in the 90s. And he's had a bunch of crossover films. I mean, like, Godzilla versus King Kong is like, it's such like a commonly discussed fight from kids to adults that, like, when like Godzilla versus Kong came out, there's people like on Twitter trending for like literal months talking about who would win and like what team they were on, and like these are just two giant monsters rendered in a computer. And it's amazing that like they're able to like he's able to bring that sort of emotion out of people. And so many of his enemies are so iconic. Like King Ghidorah is amazing, and Mechagodzilla, which we haven't really brought up much. Every single iteration of Mechagodzilla has been iconic in its own right, and each one has been unique.
Yeah.
And honestly, the newest one it might be one of my favorites. The newest one, in the GVK, and the fact that they're still able to like give like these villains in Godzilla's history like these new iconic interpretations. It's really it's quite thrilling to see that. It's very interesting to see it.
Yeah, I mean, Mechagodzilla is a really big deal because, like, I mean, yeah, it's just like, oh, it's just a robot version of Godzilla, but, like, I mean, it was really important within the films, and, like, it also became a really big deal in Japan, one of the most popular kaiju. And then you look at, like, Mothra, which is such a big deal, and King Ghidorah.
Mothra really gets dogged. Mothra gets a lot of hate because she's just a moth, but, like, she's one of, like, the most important kaiju, and one of the most human kaiju, and I loved how they reinterpreted Mothra's character in King of the Monsters, and it really sucks she wasn't in like GVK or anything. But I would honestly watch like a new Mothra movie that's just Mothra, but I don't think that would make any money, so that will probably never happen. But
it's not in America. Like Mothra is such a big deal because it's another like really important one, like of what Mothra represents just as like a being.
It's very spiritual,
and lots of cool lore too. Like it's still well established and all that. So,
and even Rodan, which was like another pretty iconic kaiju in his own right, that got like kind of sort of indoctrinated into the Godzilla series, has also been very iconic and very memorable. And he's even in movies still to this day. Just so many kaiju have been like incorporated into the series that have just become timeless, and there's going to be reinterpretations of them probably until the planet implodes. I don't really see the Godzilla series ever really dying off. It's really just, it always finds a way to come back. And there's so many different reinterpretations that you can really do just about anything and just keep the general concept of a giant radioactive monster named Godzilla, and you can pretty much do anything you want, which is great for filmmakers because, they can give their own spin on it and make it unique and get themselves in the industry, and it's a really great thing to see just throughout the decades, and it's even happening still to this day.
Yeah, I think it's incredible to see. I think it's really unifying. Just looking at like the Godzilla fandom, just kaiju fandom in general, it's awesome to talk to other kaiju fans. Just someone who's always been. I mean, for me, it was always Gamera because I love the Gamera films. I love Gamera's enemies. I think he's super cool. Just a fire-breathing turtle that flies by spinning in his shell. I think it's just the coolest thing. I mean, I've just always loved Gamera.
Which we'll definitely talk about him at some point on his own as well, probably. But yeah.
Yeah.
Which it sucks that he has not got any new content since like 2006, and I hate it. But that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's really frustrating.
Like Gamera, the MonsterVerse, I mean, oh my god.
I mean, it would be my favorite thing, I think, at least in like modern film. I would love that so much just because it's a big part of my life. And like, there's no Gamera without Godzilla, and Godzilla's a big deal, and this is Godzilla's day, of course, and it's just like, I also love Godzilla as a kaiju, and seeing like the number of fans of that franchise there are, you can just go around social media and find so much. It's like with any fandom, really. Once you discover how immersive it really is, the number of people that really enjoy it, like it brings them joy to witness it and to indulge in it, and it also brings them joy to bring it out to other people. I think it's a great. It's a great one of those things to be a fan of for that. And I absolutely love it. And it is a crime that we haven't gotten a Gamera movie in so long. I want that so badly. A new Gamera movie or a new Gamera appearance, just whatever.
Yeah, there was a really good trailer in like 2016. Nothing happened, and it was so stupid. But
it looked great.
It did.
I wish that would have came to fruition.
It did. I would love like a Shin Gamera. That'd be amazing.
No, we get Shin Ultraman.
Yeah, which Ultraman's another one, but he was definitely inspired by Godzilla as well. But I don't know, I never got into Ultraman. I mean, I'll never deny that he's iconic and he's important, but I never got into it. I mean, I'm sure if I like watched it and like put time into it, I'd like, enjoy it, but like I don't even know where to start with that. Because like I think there's a movie, but I think there's also TV shows. I don't really know what media it is, but
Yeah, Ultraman I think is primarily in a bunch of like classic TV shows, which is it's really big deal in Japan, just like Godzilla, Mothra, all of those. But like I've never gotten into it. I don't know. It just doesn't like resonate with me as much. I don't know. Nothing against Ultraman and like his fans.
don't forget about Pacific Rim.
I don't want to talk about Pacific Rim because if we talk about Pacific Rim, we're gonna start talking about Pacific Rim Uprising, and then I'll get upset, and then that'll ruin the Godzilla talking day, and it's all that.
Very brief though on that. I enjoy the first Pacific Rim. It's very clearly inspired by all these kaiju films, but like it didn't do well, and they finally made a sequel after like 5 or 6 years, and it was just so bad. Even as a kaiju fan, I could barely find any enjoyment in it. I don't think there was any enjoyment in it actually. I didn't like it at all. When I walked out of the theater, I remember my parents asked me if I liked it, and I said that was atrocious. It was terrible. There was nothing. It was such a non-movie. And they did the same thing the same thing Independence Day 2 did, where it's like, oh, we're gonna take it to the home turf, and the big third movie you guys are gonna love, and it's just like, I really don't want that, and it's never gonna happen. So it's very few and far between where I'm happy that a movie bombs and like the filmmakers have to realize that they made a shitty movie. But that was like one of those very few occasions where I was like, you deserve all the criticism you're getting because you made this and you thought that this was okay for people to watch, and it's not.
We're very wrong.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, I already criticize my writing or any idea I have a lot. And if I made a movie, I wouldn't like criticize it so much. And like if I made Pacific Rim Uprising, I would realize how bad it was. And I'd be like, okay, we had to literally reshoot this entire movie or just never release it. I would not be okay if I made Pacific Rim 2 and it being released. But that's just me.
Yeah.
It has its fans. I don't know how, but
I don't know. I remember like the first one and like it had a decent following, like ish. And, like,
it had good fight scenes. It had good fight scenes, but like everything else was like meh.
It was just such a mediocre at best type of movie, and it was like it's fine, just as like a love letter to kaiju films in a way. Like I can enjoy this. Didn't need a sequel, and then it came one showed up way after the fact. And it was awful, and it tried to set up a third movie, like, next time we're coming to you. It's like, no, next time you're not going to exist, because screw this movie, screw you, I wish this never happened.
Yeah. I know they made, like, an anime, and, like, apparently it was good, but, like, I have no interest, so.
Yeah, I don't care. Idris Elba was also in the first one, and I just feel like I need to bring that up.
Idris Elba is such a weird actor.
Idris Elba... Like, I remember, like, a few years ago, people would talk about him as, like a really popular, like, actor. Like, people, like, know of him. But then, like, I think about a lot of his roles, and I'm like...
He's not, like...
What?
He's not
like,
really that many
He was
good
in
stuff.
Cats. He was proud of it. He was proudly in Cats.
Does he actually like cats?
I just remember him like doing a lot of interviews. He was like, "I'm so excited for everyone to see Cats. Like, I had so much fun making this project, and I think it's gonna be great. Everyone's gonna love it." And then Cats like was released, and like we saw what it was, and he was clearly wrong.
I feel like he had a gun to his head.
He might have. Who knows?
Well, then like he's in like the Suicide Squad, which was like it was a good movie, but like he's
like
such a weird
film,
he's such a weird actor. He's also in Hobbs and Shaw, which was like he was fine in that, but like it was so weird seeing him like fight The Rock and like win. But yeah.
Yeah, and then he's been in a lot of other things too. Plus, he did a voice in that terrible Lion King remake, and just
people like that movie. It made $1 billion.
Lion King remake?
It made $1 billion. Like, what?
I could rant about that movie for a while, so I'm not gonna start here. But I think it's terrible. I think it's absolutely awful.
I think there's a whole episode to be made about live action Disney remakes and how awful they are.
Yeah, maybe if there's like a new one coming up soon, I don't remember if there is. We can just talk about.
There
all
definitely
those
is. I mean, the only one I remember like enjoying and thought was a decent reinterpretation was The Jungle Book.
Yeah, I think The Jungle Book was the best one, and the only other one that was like slightly decent, I think, was The Beauty and the Beast redo. It was like it still wasn't good, but it was fine. I guess it was serviceable. Still pointless. The Jungle Book was actually solid, and I think it was probably the only one. It was one of the earlier ones. That was like what 2015, 2016, something like that.
Yeah, it was like one of the first ones, I believe.
Yeah, it was one of the first like Disney like redos. Like, I think the only one that came before was maybe like Cinderella. So I remember they were about Cinderella.
But they always do Cinderella movies. So
yeah, Cinderella has so many movies, which is so weird because it wasn't like the first. It wasn't like Disney's like debut. Where it was like about 10 years after Disney started, like about 15 years after. So I don't know, but like Cinderella happens all the time. And The Jungle Book was solid. Beauty and the Beast was like kind of okay, and the rest of them I think have been terrible. So
yeah, but I guess to end things off, what would you like want in like the next Godzilla project?
honestly,
Because I remember we brought up
I think
that'd be really cool if like somebody like Denis Villeneuve, who made like Dune, ever like made like a kaiju project. But realistically, I don't think that's ever gonna happen. I mean, I'll never say never, but I would love that. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
yeah, I don't really expect that to happen. But first thing, when it comes to like dream Godzilla projects, obviously a Gamera crossover of some kind, especially in modern times, that would be like similar to the MonsterVerse, would be incredible. But just more Godzilla stories that's heavy, that can be heavy on theme, but not overbearing, because that's what Godzilla was always meant to be. And like just seeing a mix of like seeing new designs of the old classic kaiju that we love, but also seeing new original ones, because I love kaiju and I want to see new ones. I love the old ones, but it'd be great to see new original designs. I think would be awesome, and that's just like fanboy stuff. Like those are all things that I would love to see in a Godzilla project.
Yeah, I think ideally, I'd want the monsters to continue at least for a while. And like I loved when they would introduce new kaiju, like the Mutos in the first Godzilla. They weren't like the best kaiju in the world, but it was really cool to like see something new, and to see them like establish their own set. Yeah, to see them establish their own set of monsters would be cool, along with like reimagining Toho kaiju, because they also did amazing with that. Because like their designs of like Rodan and like Mothra and like King Ghidorah were like probably like my favorite like interpretations of those characters probably ever.
Yeah, I even really loved the Mechagodzilla design. It's grown on me a lot.
Yeah, which at first I didn't love the Mechagodzilla design, but like it's like each time I've watched the film or like just like thought about the design, it's worked more and more for me, and I would love to like see more of that. Because like of course we like the end of this movie with Godzilla vs Kong, like Godzilla and Kong are like not like buddies, but like they're on good terms. Like imagine if like there was a team up movie with like
that'd be fantastic.
with like Gamera or like Destroya. Like I would lose my shit. And then I would love Toho to like just do some more experimental stuff. If they want to do some more anime projects, I'm up for that. Just I don't know, do better than what you've been doing. A little bit too out there.
Seeing more from Toho would be really nice. I mean, like they're kind of on like a weird like hiatus type thing because Shin Godzilla was like 5 years ago, and that was their last live action Godzilla. I mean, it's just
There was
like,
talks
the
of
anime
like
trilogy
a
happened.
there was a talks of like a second Shin Godzilla, but that like never happened because I don't think the directors wanted to, which is good for them because it's good to say no sometimes and not ruin a good thing while it's going. But I don't. I would love them to do some experimental stuff, do a bit more like one-off, not like a big cinematic universe, timeline consecutive stuff. Just do like some weird stuff that will get people in the seats. While MonsterVerse kind of like has that more traditional approach and keeps things going, and like maybe they trade off years, kind of. You get like a MonsterVerse movie, and like you get a few years break, and in between that you get like a Toho film. Because it was nice, like in between, like the MonsterVerse movies, there was like Shin Godzilla and even the anime trilogy to kind of like at least keep content going. And I think keeping up that stream would be pretty good as long as like they have actual content to produce. And I'd really love, I don't know, I'd just really love some creative voices coming in. They've had some good directors with the MonsterVerse that have been like creative. It'd be great to see some new Japanese filmmakers also make their own interpretations. It'd be really amazing to see like a new modern like sequel to like the original, like be a direct continuation. But I don't think we'll ever get that again. But yeah, I want to see some new stuff, and I want to see like a current timeline of events, at least for America, to keep going. And if we can only get one or the other, I guess I'd say MonsterVerse, but that's just me. But yeah.
I mean, I'd probably have to agree with you. Honestly, just new content in general would always be appreciated.
Yeah, I really want an announcement. I don't know what's going on, but
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a little weird, but like, I can definitely be patient with it though, and I'll be excited for whatever comes our way.
yeah, because I guess didn't they say like the next movie might be Son of Kong?
Yeah, it was rumored that it could be Son of Kong, and like it could like play in with the potential of like the Middle Earth and all that, or Inner Earth. I mean,
Hollow Earth,
and,
yeah. I'd be interested in
like
that. Yeah.
Son of Kong.
Yeah, if they had Son of Kong, though, that would imply they're gonna kill King Kong. So.
Probably, yeah.
At least,
I don't know. It's
we'll see.
I'm not sure.
Some more Kong and Godzilla.
Like,
I would love.
Kong anime supposedly is happening.
Yeah, the Kong anime. I guess that's still happening, but that would be a prequel to like everything. But
Yeah.
the main thing I would be like happy with is if we got like another Kong movie, another Godzilla movie, maybe like a Gamera movie or something, and kind of like a team up movie. I would eventually like to see things lead up until like a Destroy All Monsters type of scenario where it's kind of like a big, like they have an Avengers level threat of like Destroya or like Iris, which is like a Gamera's like biggest enemy.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, but we'll see about that. That's very down the road. This would be like a 10-year thing in movies, but in general, I just want something. I want some more content that isn't like an anime. But
right, at the very least, hype for something.
Because like there's nothing.
Yeah, eventually working with like a new Destroy All Monsters or like a new Final Wars would be really cool. It's just like because that was just such a fun thing, all those years ago. But
because there's been nothing, no King Kong announcements, no Godzilla, or certainly no Gamera announcements. So there really is it's a big waiting game right now. So we'll just have to see, I guess.
Yeah, Gamera fans have been feeling it for 15 years now. So.
And the last Gamera movie wasn't even that good, so it's really been like since like '99. So.
Right.
Over 20 years now, which is ridiculous. I seriously, very small tangent. I don't get how like the studio that like makes Gamera just didn't see like the opportunity to make a Gamera movie. It would have made so much money because it'd been like around when all these guys were coming back. Like, what? Why not?
Yeah, I have no idea because like it definitely could like a lot of like modern like mainstream audiences at least like outside of Japan don't know much about don't know much about Gamera, but like just like being similar to Godzilla alone is enough of like a launching pad. They could have like capitalized
People
on
love
kaiju becoming
turtles.
big.
People love turtles.
Yeah, yeah, and Gamera is the best turtle ever. So
Yeah, but I'll probably conclude it. I mean, we were going to discuss maybe the Morbius trailer, but the only thought I have about that is that it looks terrible. So
I'm not excited for Morbius. End of discussion.
we'll probably watch it, but I'll probably take a gun with me in the theater just in case I don't want to watch it anymore. I probably won't actually do that, but maybe, I don't know, we'll see.
I feel like that's a bit extreme, but
Yeah. Just be like, okay, instead of walking out and leaving the theater, I'm just gonna kill myself because I already paid.
all right. Well, next week, hopefully we talk about Eternals.
Eternals,
see.
bro. I'm so hyped to sit in the theater for 3 hours.
I'm not hyped for Eternals.
I'd rather go watch Dune
Why is
again.
it so long?
I'd rather watch
I
Dune
don't want to see
again.
that movie. Oh.
I mean, I'll see it, I guess. I guess it is a Marvel movie, so I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I think after that, though, I don't know what we're talking about the week after, because I don't think Ghostbuster comes out that week. No, it comes out like 20th or something. So
We'll have to get together a schedule of what's going to happen because going into October we had a loaded number of stuff to talk about. And now there's like less, but there are going to be some new releases. There'll be stuff to discuss. So there'll be some good stuff going forward. So be sure to subscribe. Leave a like if you enjoyed the discussion. Comment your thoughts down below. Yeah, do you have any other closing thoughts?
the Blue Oyster Cult Godzilla song is like one of the best songs, like period.
It's amazing. I love that song.
even
It's
the
so good.
even the new version, which isn't like great, but like it's still like it's fun. But
Yeah, I still really enjoy it.
it's so weird that like they took them like over like because didn't that song come out in like the 60s or 70s?
Yeah.
It took until
like, the song,
2019 for them to put it in a Godzilla movie, and they didn't even put like the original song. They put like a rendition of it. Like what?
Right, it would have worked in the Godzilla credits for for a very long time. So I don't know, it doesn't make sense.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely tune in. If we hate Eternals, we'll have a lot to talk about. If we like it, I guess we'll be talking about how wrong we were. But I'm not walking in
Yeah, I don't
that.
know.
I'm not walking in that with very high expectations. So
Like I'm just not invested enough. So I don't know.
yeah, but yeah, definitely tune in next week, guys. Stay safe, stay sane. I'm certainly not, but we'll catch you guys next week.
And wherever you are, have a good day, night, evening, whatever.
No, I actually have a terrible evening, and we hate all of you. Just kidding.
Matthew, that's not true.
Please subscribe.